Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that has the power to transform your life from the inside out, something that can turn your deepest struggles into your greatest victories, your darkest nights into the most radiant mornings. It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's not some secret formula hidden away in the pages of a book. It's about opening your heart fully and completely to something far greater than yourself. There's something undeniably powerful about going all in, about pursuing something with every fiber of your being. It changes you, it stretches you, it transforms you from the inside out. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Transformation isn't always comfortable. It requires a kind of vulnerability that feels risky, even terrifying, because to seek with all your heart means to open yourself up completely, to let go of the illusion of control and step into something deeper, something unknown. Most of us live in a state of hesitation. We dip our toes in, test the waters, hold back just enough so that if things don't go the way we hoped, we can retreat without too much damage. But life doesn't work like that. The greatest breakthroughs don't come from cautious steps. They come from wholehearted pursuit. When you seek with everything inside you, when you push past the doubt, the fear, the voices that tell you it's not worth it, you unlock a part of yourself that was always meant to rise. There is no such thing as seeking and remaining the same. When you truly pursue, something shifts. The weight you've been carrying starts to lift. The chaos in your mind begins to settle. You start to see things differently, not just the world around you, but yourself. And that's where the miracle begins. Because transformation isn't just about what happens to you, it's about what happens within you. It's easy to get discouraged when the answers don't come right away. When you're searching, but it feels like nothing is changing, that's the moment where most people stop. They assume silence means abandonment. That delay means denial. But real transformation isn't instant. It's a process of refining, stretching, and growing into the person you were always meant to be. Sometimes the miracle isn't in what changes around you. It's in what changes within you. The kind of seeking that leads to transformation isn't about finding quick fixes or temporary relief. It's about stepping into something bigger than yourself with the full force of your heart. No backup plan, no safety net, just trust. And when you do, you start to see things happen that defy explanation. The right doors open at the right time. Strength shows up when you thought you had nothing left. Peace settles in where there used to be fear. The invitation has always been there. The question isn't whether or not transformation is possible, it's whether or not you're willing to seek it with all your heart. Because the moment you do, you won't just witness a miracle, you'll become one. We are taught from an early age that if we just work hard enough, achieve enough, and gather enough, we will finally feel whole. The world tells us that success is measured in titles, bank accounts, and social status, that if we check all the right boxes, we will unlock the happiness we've been chasing. But here's the paradox. The very people who seem to have it all often feel the most lost. They stand on the mountaintop of success only to realize that the view isn't as fulfilling as they thought it would be. There's an ache that accomplishment alone can't heal, a restlessness that wealth can't quiet, a loneliness that even the most crowded rooms can't cure. Because deep down, we aren't just searching for success. We're searching for something real, something lasting, something that reaches the deepest parts of who we are. And no matter how much we achieve, there will always be a void that nothing in this world can truly fill. The truth is, we were never meant to do life alone, never meant to carry the weight of our existence on our own shoulders. But we live in a culture that glorifies self-sufficiency, that tells us we must be strong enough, smart enough, and capable enough to figure it all out. And yet, in our most vulnerable moments, when the lights go out and the noise fades, we feel it. That quiet whisper that says, There must be more than this. There is, but it isn't found in more hustle, more striving, or more chasing after things that were never meant to sustain us. It's found in a wholehearted pursuit of something greater than ourselves, something that doesn't crumble under pressure or fade with time. When you seek with your whole heart, not just in moments of crisis, but in everyday life, you begin to experience a peace that no achievement could ever offer. A strength that doesn't depend on your own ability, but on something infinitely greater. The world will always tell you to chase the next big thing, to keep running, keep proving, keep achieving, but at some point you have to ask yourself, what am I really looking for? Because the answer isn't in another promotion, another milestone, or another round of applause. The answer is in something deeper, something unshakable, something that meets you exactly where you are and fills you in a way nothing else ever could. Real fulfillment isn't found in the things we accumulate. It's found in the depth of what we pursue with all our heart. And when we stop looking for meaning in things that were never meant to hold it, that's when we begin to witness the kind of miracles that change everything. Real many of us live as if what we need is always just out of reach. We tell ourselves that if we had more time, more clarity, more proof, then we would finally believe, finally trust, finally let go. We convince ourselves that the answers are hidden behind some impossible barrier, that peace and purpose are only for those who have it all figured out. But what if the very thing you're searching for has been within reach all along? What if the answers aren't waiting to be discovered someday, but are standing right in front of you, waiting for you to open your heart today? We often think of seeking as a passive act, waiting, hoping, longing, but real seeking is active. It's showing up even when you don't have all the answers. It's leaning in even when doubt whispers that it's pointless. It's choosing to believe that what you're looking for isn't buried in the distance, but is right here, waiting to be found. The problem isn't that the answers are far away, it's that we're too distracted, too afraid, or too unwilling to see what's already in front of us. We keep looking for something dramatic, some undeniable proof that will make faith effortless. We want sky-splitting signs, neon lights pointing the way, something so obvious that we can't possibly miss it. But the most profound moments in life don't usually arrive with fireworks. They show up in quiet whispers, in unexpected peace, in the small, ordinary moments where something deep inside us shifts. The miracles we seek don't always come in the way we expect, but they always come in the way we need. We don't have to have it all figured out to take the first step. We don't have to wait for absolute certainty before we decide to trust. If we're waiting for a perfect moment to begin, we'll be waiting forever. But if we open our hearts, even just a little, if we lean into what's already there, we will find that the answers were never far away. They were always right here, waiting for us to be ready to receive them. The greatest discoveries aren't found in chasing something distant. They're found in realizing that what we've been searching for has been calling us home all along. And when we finally stop running, stop doubting, stop waiting for the perfect circumstances, we will see that what seemed impossible was always within reach, waiting for us to seek it with all our hearts. There's a difference between searching and seeking. Searching is passive. It's what we do when we're unsure, when we're casually looking around, hoping something will fall into place. But seeking's intentional, it's wholehearted. It's the kind of pursuit that says, I won't stop until I find what I'm looking for. And that level of commitment changes everything. The problem is we've become a culture that hesitates. We want certainty before we commit, guarantees before we invest our hearts, proof before we take the first step. We dip our toes in, afraid to go all in, afraid of being disappointed, afraid that maybe, just maybe, we'll give everything and still come up empty. But nothing in life, nothing truly meaningful can be experienced with a half-hearted pursuit. Love, purpose, faith, transformation, none of these things reveal themselves to those who stand at a distance, waiting for the perfect moment. They unfold in the lives of those who step in fully, without a backup plan, without hesitation, without fear of what they might lose. What if the very thing you've been waiting for is waiting for you to stop waiting? What if the reason you haven't seen the breakthrough, the peace, the transformation is because you've been standing at the edge instead of stepping into the deep? Seeking with all your heart means no longer playing it safe. It means tearing down the walls of doubt and fear. It means trusting that even when you can't see the full picture, every step you take will lead you exactly where you are meant to go. There is something extraordinary about the moment you let go of hesitation. Suddenly, doors that seemed locked begin to open. Strength you didn't know you had rises within you. Peace settles into places where fear once lived. And you begin to understand that the miracle isn't just in what you find, it's in the seeking itself. It's in the courage to go all in. It's in the faith to keep walking even when you don't have all the answers. If you seek with everything inside you, you will find what you're looking for. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you will no longer be the person who gives up too soon. You will no longer settle for a half-lived life, standing on the sidelines, wondering what could have been. You will be the one who stepped in, who took the risk, who chose to believe that some things are worth giving your whole heart to. And when you do, you won't just witness miracles, you will be living proof of one. There is something terrifying about surrender. We are wired to hold on, to control, to map out our lives in a way that makes sense to us. We build plans, set goals, and do everything in our power to ensure that life unfolds the way we think it should, but then inevitably something happens that reminds us just how little control we actually have. A door we were counting on suddenly closes. A relationship we thought would last begins to unravel. A dream we poured everything into falls apart in our hands. And in those moments, we are faced with a choice: clean harder or surrender. Surrender feels like weakness, but it's actually the bravest thing we can do. It takes courage to say, I don't have all the answers and I'm okay with that. It takes strength to let go of the illusion of control and trust that there is something greater at work. And when we finally reach that place, when we release our grip, when we stop trying to force our own way, that's when the miracles begin. Because surrender isn't about giving up, it's about making space. It's about stepping aside so that something far bigger than us can step in. We are so afraid that if we let go, things will fall apart. But what if letting go is the very thing that allows everything to fall into place? What if the reason we haven't seen the miracle yet is because we've been too busy trying to orchestrate it ourselves? There is a profound shift that happens when we stop striving and start trusting. Suddenly, the weight we've been carrying begins to lift. The battles we've been fighting no longer feel like ours to win alone. And the doors we were desperately trying to pry open begin to open effortlessly in ways we never could have planned. Miracles don't happen when we are in control. They happen when we are willing to release control. They happen in the quiet moments when we finally exhale and say, I can't do this on my own. They happen when we step back and allow something greater than our own strength, our own plans, our own expectations to take over. Maybe the miracle isn't in getting everything you thought you wanted. Maybe the miracle is in discovering that you never had to carry it all alone. Maybe the moment you stop trying to force everything into place is the moment everything finally begins to align. And maybe, just maybe, when you let go, you'll realize that surrender wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined. There comes a point in life when you feel like you've given everything you have. You've fought the battles, carried the weight, held yourself together when everything was falling apart. And yet, there you are, exhausted, empty, wondering how much longer you can keep going. The world tells you to push harder, to grind through it, to summon strength from some hidden reserve. But what happens when there is no strength left? What happens when you've reached the end of yourself? We are taught to believe that strength is something we create on our own, that resilience is about sheer willpower, that the strongest people are the ones who never break. But that's a lie. Real strength isn't about never breaking. It's about what happens after you do. It's in the moment when you have nothing left to give and yet somehow you are still standing. It's in the space between falling apart and rising again, where something beyond your own power meets you right where you are. Some of the most powerful moments in life come when we reach the very edge of ourselves, because it's in that space, the one where our own ability fails us, that we discover a strength we never knew existed. Not because we forced it, not because we muscled our way through, but because we let go of the belief that we had to do it all on our own. Strength isn't just about pushing forward. Sometimes it's about learning to lean in. It's about realizing that you were never meant to carry it all alone, that the weight you've been struggling under is not yours to hold forever. And when you reach that place, when you surrender the idea that you have to be strong enough on your own, you will find that strength is given to you in ways you never expected. Maybe the real miracle isn't that you never felt weak. Maybe the real miracle is that even in your weakest moment, you were never abandoned. That when you had nothing left, there was still someone holding you up. And maybe strength isn't about pretending you're invincible. Maybe strength is found in the very moment you admit that you're not and trust that you never had to be. We live in a world that demands perfection. From the time we are young, we are taught to measure our worth by how well we perform, how flawlessly we execute, how perfectly we present ourselves to the world. We believe that if we could just be better, more disciplined, more put together, more in control, then maybe, just maybe, we would be worthy of love, of acceptance, of something greater than ourselves. And so we strive. We hustle, we hide our flaws, cover our scars, and pretend we have it all together. But deep down, we know the truth. We are not perfect. We struggle, we fail, we fall short. And that's where doubt creeps in, whispering that we are not enough. But here's the beautiful thing. We were never asked to be perfect. We were never meant to have it all figured out before we take the first step. Seeking isn't about arriving fully prepared. It's about showing up as you are, messy, broken, uncertain, and choosing to pursue something greater anyway. It's about trusting that your worth isn't found in how well you perform, but in the simple fact that you are willing. Too often we hold back because we don't feel ready. We tell ourselves that we'll commit when we're more disciplined, that we'll take the leap when we have more faith, that we'll step in when we're less of a mess. But if we wait for perfection, we will never begin. The invitation has never been for the flawless. It has always been for the willing, for the ones who say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm here. I don't know every answer, but I'm seeking with all my heart. And that is where the miracle begins, not in our perfection, but in our pursuit, not in our certainty, but in our surrender, not in the image we present to the world, but in the raw, honest, imperfect moments where we admit that we can't do this alone. Because when we stop trying to prove that we are enough and instead start trusting that we are already loved, already seen, already held, that is when everything changes. That is when we stop striving and start experiencing. That is when we realize that the miracle was never in being perfect. The miracle was always in being willing. Life has a way of making us doubt. We start with hope, with dreams, with a sense of purpose burning inside us, but then reality happens. The setbacks, the disappointments, the waiting seasons where nothing seems to be moving forward. And in those moments, doubt creeps in. Maybe we misheard. Maybe we're not meant for something greater. Maybe the miracles we were hoping for are just stories that happen to other people. Doubt convinces us to settle. It tells us that it's safer to lower our expectations, to stop believing in things unseen, to stop hoping for the impossible. Because if we stop hoping, we won't be disappointed, right? But here's the thing. Miracles don't happen in places of certainty. They happen in the tension between doubt and faith. In the moments where everything in us wants to give up, but we choose to believe anyway. That choice, the decision to keep believing, to keep seeking, to keep hoping, is what separates those who witness miracles from those who miss them. Too often we think faith means never doubting, never questioning, never wrestling with uncertainty. But real faith isn't the absence of doubt, it's choosing to move forward despite it. It's standing in the middle of uncertainty and saying, I don't understand, but I trust anyway. It's believing that just because we can't see the whole picture yet doesn't mean the masterpiece isn't being painted. We may not always get the miracle we expect, but that doesn't mean we won't get the miracle we need. Sometimes the biggest miracles happen not when life goes exactly as planned, but when something shifts inside us. When peace replaces anxiety, when purpose rises out of pain, when hope refuses to die, even in the darkest moments. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the miracle isn't just in the outcome. Maybe the miracle is in the journey. So if you're standing in a season of doubt, if you're wondering whether you should keep believing, keep seeking, keep hoping, this is your reminder. The miracles you're waiting for aren't found in perfect faith. They are found in the messy, vulnerable, courageous act of believing anyway. Because when you choose to believe, even when it would be easier to walk away, you position yourself to witness the impossible. And when you do, you'll realize that the doubt was never a reason to quit. It was an invitation to step deeper into faith. We live in a world that craves instant results. We want quick answers, fast breakthroughs, immediate change. And when things take longer than we expected, when the road stretches further than we imagined, we start to wonder if we've been forgotten. We question if the waiting means we took the wrong path, if the silence means we've been ignored, if the delay means the promise was never real to begin with. But what if the waiting isn't a punishment? What if it's preparation? Patience isn't passive. It's not sitting idly, twiddling our thumbs, hoping something will magically change. Patience is active trust. It's waking up every morning and choosing to believe, even when the evidence tells you otherwise. It's holding on, even when the timeline no longer makes sense. It's standing firm in the belief that just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Some of the greatest miracles unfold beneath the surface long before they ever rise into view. We don't like waiting because it makes us feel powerless. It strips away our illusion of control and forces us to trust in something greater than ourselves. But here's the truth. The waiting isn't where hope dies. The waiting is where faith is strengthened. It's where character is refined. It's where the deep work happens. The kind of work that prepares us to carry the very miracles we've been asking for. Because the reality is sometimes the miracle isn't just what we receive. Sometimes the miracle is who we become while we wait. The world tells us that waiting is wasted time, that if something doesn't happen quickly, it's not worth pursuing. But some of the most beautiful things in life take time. A tree doesn't grow strong overnight. A masterpiece isn't painted in an instant. The most extraordinary things require seasons of unseen growth before they are revealed. And just because you can't see the work being done doesn't mean it isn't happening. So if you find yourself in the waiting, if you're questioning whether to keep believing, don't let impatience steal your miracle. What you're seeking is not delayed, it's being prepared. What you're waiting for is not forgotten, it's being refined. And when the time is right, when you are ready, what was meant for you will come, not a moment too soon, not a second too late, exactly when it was always meant to. And when it does, you'll look back and realize that the waiting wasn't a detour. It was part of the miracle all along. At the heart of every journey is a choice, whether to seek with everything inside us or to stand on the sidelines, waiting for proof before we believe. Life will always offer us reasons to hesitate. Fear will whisper that it's safer not to hope too much, not to trust too deeply, not to love too freely. But the moments that define us, the moments that change everything, are the ones where we choose to lean in anyway, where we choose to step into the unknown even when we don't have all the answers, where we choose to believe that there is more for us even when we can't yet see it. Seeking is not about arriving at a destination, it's about who we become along the way. It's in the pursuit that we find strength we never knew we had, peace that defies logic, and a love that meets us exactly where we are but refuses to leave us unchanged. It's in the seeking that we realize miracles are not just grand moments of transformation, they are the quiet shifts, the unexplainable peace in the middle of chaos, the doors that open just when we were ready to give up. The world will tell you to play it safe, to only trust in what you can see, to never ask for more than what is right in front of you. But what if you are made for more? What if the life you are meant to live, the purpose that is calling your name, requires you to step beyond what is comfortable and into what is possible? What if every struggle, every waiting season, every unanswered question has been leading you towards something far greater than you ever imagined? The truth is, miracles are not reserved for the lucky few. They are waiting for those who are willing to seek with all their hearts, to trust when it would be easier to doubt, to take one more step when everything inside them says to turn back. They are found in the lives of those who refuse to settle, who keep believing, who keep knocking, who keep showing up, even when the road is long and the answers are unclear. So let this be your reminder, you are not alone in your seeking, you are not forgotten in your waiting, and you are not foolish for believing in something greater than yourself. Keep going, keep trusting, keep seeking with everything you have, because when you do, you won't just witness miracles, you will live them. And in that moment, you will realize that the greatest miracle of all was never just in the outcome. It was in the journey, the transformation, the undeniable realization that you were never seeking in vain.